Hey, what is up YouTube? It is dusk. Today I have for you a 43 card deck for Mono Darkness. This was the type of deck I always used to run during the original Duel Masters, so I can honestly say that this time I didn't exactly go in blind. I've been holding off from using a deck like this until I figured that Darkness had enough utility to run on its own properly without any mess-ups. But have to figure, if a guy at KMC topped with it, it must be good enough to let me go back to it. And it actually performed pretty well. I 2-0'd all but the final match in the at the Duel Day tournament yesterday. But the deck is as follows. We're starting things off with level 1's 3 Gigabolver. A level 1 Chimera with 3000 power, but it blows up whenever it attacks. Normally, this is just for Evo bait. But when you combine it with the next card, if you can pull this off turn 1 and the next card turn 2, you got a nice little cycle going to start off an early game beatdown. Which is good because this deck is meant to be very aggressive. The next card, and entering level 2, 3 copies of Scavenging Chimera. The whole reason you run the deck, the whole reason you play it just Darkness. Of course, the whole reason I played it just Darkness back in Duel Masters was because, well, I liked the Darkness Civ. It was my favorite back then. It really got the job done. On its own, this card's just a level 2, 1000 power Chimera. Strictly Evo bait like Gigabolver. But when all of your mana are Darkness, its Heart of Darkness ability kicks in, giving it a plus 2000 power bonus, and every time it attacks, you get to take a creature from your discard pile and put it back in your hand. Death is not permanent in the Darkness civilization. But messing stuff up is. So that's why we're adding in 3 copies of Grudge Weaver. A level 2, 1000 power Brainjacker with blocker. Now naturally, 1000 power is pretty bad, but as with other weaker creatures in Darkness, the low power is actually a strength, not a weakness. Because whenever this guy gets banished, his Brain Bite ability kicks in, which will force the opponent to discard 1 card. Now, there are, with the birds and Rush running around, there are a lot of things that this can actually trade with, so you do get to banish an enemy creature while forcing them to discard. You just have to time it right. Keeping up with the early turn discard effects to apply pressure to the opponent, which is really good while dragons are still running around, we got 3 copies of Gigastand. A level 3, 2000 power Chimera with the ability to force your opponent to discard every time he attacks. If you can pull off multiples of these, your opponent has to top deck the entire game. If you can pull off multiples of these, like a turn 3 Gigastand followed by a turn 4 Gigastand, they have to constantly shove mana into they have to constantly top deck mana. Meaning they don't play anything for the next few turns, and that can normally give you the win without even trying. Now, keeping up with our Chimera counts, as you can tell, we're going to be using the evolutions. The last of our blockers, 3 copies of Scaradorable of Gloomhallow. A level 3, 2000 power Chimera, just like Gigastand, with blocker and the ability Adorable Gaze. Whenever he battles a creature of level 4 or lower, nothing happens. No one gets banished. This not only stops Sabertooth, but as I proved in the Duel video in the comments, in the description below, it can actually stop Slayer simply because nothing happened. The Slayer didn't get banished. It gets to stay. Very nice trick when you're dealing with Skullcutters or any low-level Slayers. I wanted to add a few other blockers in the deck, but I was running out of space. Moving on to level 4, and keeping with our little teddy bear, yes, smack with teddy bear on that blocker, 2 copies of Screeching Scare Adorable. A level 4, 3000 power Chimera with the ability Sonic Blast. When he enters the battle zone, you choose an enemy creature, and if it's level 2 or less, then you banish it. If not, it can't block for the turn. This actually won me my first match at the tournament yesterday, because at the last turn, the opponent had the chance to wipe me out if the game went one more turn, and that would have pushed it on to game 3. And to solidify this, he brought out a Grand Gur. I just brought out this, and he couldn't block my last attack anymore. Not too many things in the game that can stop Grand Gur from doing its job, but this is definitely one of them. Now, again, pushing on to discard effects, 2 copies of Fumes. A level 4, 2000 power Tarborg, and whenever he enters the battle zone, the opponent discards. I haven't got the chance to use this yet, but I haven't needed to, so if I ever remake this deck, I might bounce him. It depends on what the card pool in the game is at the time that I remake the deck. Now, this next card will be the last of the discard effects. I promise. 2 copies of Ghost Spy. A level 4 Spectre with 1000 power. Again, that low power is a strength, not a weakness. You want him banished. Because when he gets banished, your opponent chooses and discards a card. Then you get to draw one. That's advantage right there. Very powerful. This and Grudge Weaver are very good to use with a card I'm going to be showing you in a bit. But moving on to the first of our spells. 2 copies of Return from Beyond. You cast it, and you bring a level 4 or lower creature to the battle zone from the discard pile. Very powerful. And a Shield Blast at that. You don't want to run Mono Darkness without this, at least not for a while. Now, this will bring cards back, but what about getting rid of level 4 lower creatures? Naturally, 3 copies of Bone Blades. The support effects from this format's level 4 lower creatures is just too high. You gotta get rid of them. If you don't have, and since you don't have a way to attack untapped creatures with darkness, which the support creatures will probably be untapped, this is your best bet. Now, moving on to level 5, and the first way we're using all those chimeras I've shown you, 3 Hydra Medusa. Level 5, 5000 power Chimera Evolution, and as soon as he comes, or she comes out into the battle zone, banish an enemy creature. The cost of, the power of Terror Pit with the low cost of Death Smoke. With the only requirement being you need a Chimera out. Not hard in this deck. Pushing on harder with the banishing effects, 3 copies of Ripper Reaper. Really awesome looking level 5 Shadow Champion with 4000 power, and the ability Cursed Scythe, which makes this, whenever he enters the battle zone, you have to banish one of your own creatures. Normally, this is a bad thing, but if you time it right and choose one of the targets I had said, the Grudge Weaver or the Ghost Spy, it will generate advantage. Now, after you banish your creature, they have to banish one of theirs. So, assuming it's one of the 2 creatures I just said, you play this, you banish one of your creatures, and then that creature's ability goes off, making them discard a card, and if it's Ghost Spy, you get to also draw one. And they lose a creature to boot. That's fabulous advantage. Now, the last of my level 5 creatures is a tech that I've yet to get to use. I thought it would be great, but so far no dice. 1 copy of Black Feather of Shadow Abyss. A level 5 Spectre with 2000 power. His ability, Ghostly Siphon, allows you to draw a card every time an enemy creature gets banished. This deck has like 20 banishing effects, and that's not counting if you banish a creature by battle. So I thought that adding this card to the deck, increasing the deck count from 42 to 43, would easily replace itself. But so far, no luck. Might actually take this out of the deck. Now, the last of the level 5s, 2 Death Smoke. Tap 5 mana, banish an untapped enemy creature. This is great to use against dragons. This is even better to use against light. And its best usage is against an enemy's ace card that is out during the Summoning Sickness turn. Just cast this before it even gets the chance to attack, and problem solved. Again, low numbers being a strength. This card is level 5. Most of the ace cards are level 6 or higher. Even if you went second, by the time they bring out an ace card, you will probably have enough mana to cast this thing. Now, it has no power against evolution creatures whatsoever, because they're probably always going to be tapped since they can attack first turn, but against dragons and other non-EVO game winners, this card's just beautiful. Now, jumping into level 6, and my big guns. 2 copies of Dark Scare Adorable, a level 6, 6,000 power Chimera with Double Breaker, and the ability Terrifying Gaze. When it enters the battle zone, it instantly breaks an opponent's shield without even having to attack. Now, they could still get their Shield Blast ability, and it could still end up, this could easily -1 a creature for you, but if it doesn't, or they pick another creature, then the next turn, you have a Double Breaker to break even more shields. It's beautiful. Now, this next card will be the last of my creatures, and it gave people a lot of trouble during the tournament, or during the Duel Day tournament yesterday. I didn't get to pull it off during my final match because my opponent got to bring out Infernus, but this card gave everyone else trouble. Tekkamora the Wretched in 2s. Level 6, 11,000 power Chimera. Double Breaker. Great stats on an Evo. And that much power that early in the game, it's enough to clean house before the enemy can bring out most of their dragons. Its ability Engulf, which really helped me clear space for attacks during the Duel Day tournament, banishes all of your opponent's level 1 creatures every time it attacks. My first opponent really liked to bring out level 1 2000 blockers, and this took care of them real quick. Next, we have Death Smoke with a limp. Devouring Smog in 2s. Level 6 Shield Blast, which therefore it might have the potential to come out before Death Smoke, but I don't see this being that powerful as a Shield Blast. When you cast it, your opponent gets to pick one of their untapped creatures and banish it. So this card is very timing heavy. Now finally, the last 3 cards of the deck. A staple you must always have with Darkness, especially in Mono Darkness, 3 Terror Pits. Level 7 Shield Blast. You cast it, banish a target enemy creature of your choice. No ifs, ands, or buts. The ultimate 1-for-1 in the game. That's the deck. Hope you guys liked it. Again, dual videos in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, there's a link to the segment intro in the description below as well. And if you would like to talk to me about Kai Judo or even duel me online, hit me up on Skype. My Skype is Downtown Dusk. Same as the channel. If you're having trouble accessing it, I hear a couple people are, please PM me and we'll see if we can't figure out what the issue is. I would personally like to know in case I'm giving bad information. And if you don't have Skype, just shoot me a PM. I'm happy to take requests. That's all I've got for you this week. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.